The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Here's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove podcast. We continue our NFL preview with the AFC and NFC West divisions, and we talk about the wild NASCAR weekend. That's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove podcast.
From Belly Up Sports and the Belly Up Podcast Network, you're listening to the Sports Stove podcast with your host, Vince Stover.
Hey, good looking, what you got cooking? How's about cooking something up in me?
Welcome in to an all-new edition of the Sports Stove podcast presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Join the flavor revolution at righteousfelon.com and use that promo code STOVE15. You're going to get 15% off your purchase. We've got a lot to talk about today, and we're bringing on some guests a little bit later to talk about the NASCAR events this weekend, the punishments handed down. Chris Prince and Kaleb McChesney from Belly Up Sports will join us later in the program. But first, we're going to talk the NFL. I'm joined, as I am every week, by my dad, Dale Stover. Dad, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. Been a good week. The last couple of days at work, I've been snacking on some Righteous Felon jerky. So I've had it for a while and had some dental work done. And I thought, well, it's always real tender and they seal it real well. So I tried it and man, it's just like it was brand new. It's great. I'm not a real spicy person, so I have the OG hickory, and it is just tremendous hickory flavor. So I need to encourage people. Boy, I tell you, if you like jerky at all, this Righteous Felon jerky is really good, and I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, great. Awesome. All right, so we're going to get into it. We've been doing our NFL preview, and we've gone through the East, the North, and the South divisions. And we head into our final division of the preview, and that is the NFC and AFC West. We'll start in the AFC, and what we'll do, we'll go through each team. We're going to talk about the ceiling for them. We're going to go with their win totals, over or under, and then we're going to rank the coaches, quarterbacks, running backs, pass catchers, O-line, front seven, and DBs on a scale of 1 to 5. Feel free to comment your thoughts throughout the program as well. Let's start in the AFC West, Dad. We'll start in Denver with the Broncos. A lot going on for the Broncos this year, maybe. What do you see as the ceiling for the Denver Broncos?
Well, I'll give them 6 wins as a ceiling, and I'm not sure that they'll hit that, but I think they're definitely still rebuilding.
Yeah, so in this, I've got them as a potential first-round draft pick. Is that their ceiling? No, it's not. So I cheated a little bit, but I think this is a team that is going to be fighting for the number 1 overall draft pick next year. I mean, I think they can get to 4 or 5 wins, but ultimately I think that's what they're going to be shooting for come the turn of the season. So I went first-round draft pick for this team. Their win total is at 5.5. I'm going to go under 5.5. Where do you sit on that?
I'll go under that also.
Okay. Coach is Sean Payton, Super Bowl winning coach. But last year did not go well with Russell Wilson. They've got Joe Lombardi as their offensive coordinator, Vance Joseph as the DC, Ben Kotwicka as the special teams coordinator. How do you rank Coach Sean Payton where he is today, not necessarily where his career is?
Yeah, I think today I give him a 3.5, and that might be a little high because, again, he has struggled last year, and we'll see if he can turn things around in Denver.
Yeah, I did the same thing, Dad, 3.5 as well. Obviously, he's had great moments in his coaching career, and maybe should be considered higher. But how he did last year, you're going to tell me he's going to do better with a rookie quarterback? I don't believe it. So, I shouldn't say I don't believe it, but he's going to have to prove it to me. Speaking of quarterbacks, let's see here. This year they've got Bo Nix, first-round draft pick. Backups are Jared Stidham and Zach Wilson. I don't know who's going to start here. The thought process is typically going to be Bo Nix, but I don't know that he'll start the rookie. So how do you rank the quarterback situation in Denver?
I mean, again, you just don't know who it's going to be. So I give him a 2. They may do better than that. I like Bo Nix, but I don't know if he's ready yet to be an NFL quarterback. We'll see.
Yeah, I went 2.5. I think Nix I actually like his potential. He's a veteran. I mean, he's not young. He played many years in college. He looked really good in Oregon. Given the right situation, maybe he has some success, at least early success. We've seen that with guys. Vince Young had early success, even though it didn't necessarily last for super long. So maybe that works in his favor as well. And if it's Stidham or Wilson, I mean, resurgence, I don't know. We'll see. I went 2.5. Running back room, Dad, Javonte Williams. I know you like him. Jaleel McLaughlin is back there as well. They had a 5th-round draft pick, and Samaje Perine's there as well. How do you rank the running back situation in Denver?
Well, I do like Williams, but he hasn't, hit his potential yet. But I give them a 3.
All right, I gave him a 3 also. We're right on page with this. Pass catchers, Cortland Sutton, Josh Reynolds, Marvin Mims, Tim Patrick, 4th-round pick Troy Franklin. The tight end, Adam Troutman, comes over from New Orleans. Greg Dulcich is there as well. How do you rank the pass catchers in Denver?
I just went 2.5 on that. They don't have a lot there, I don't think.
Yeah, I went 2. I mean, again, I like some of these pieces as a 2 or a 3 guy. I don't love them. There's not a 1 on this team right now. And Adam Troutman, he's never lived up to the billing of his draft status that he had in New Orleans. Offensive line. They got Garrett Bowles, Ben Powers, Luke Wattenberg, Quinn Meinertz, and Mike McGlinchey on the O-line. How do you feel about the Denver O-line?
I went 2.5. Again, nothing to me jumps out there. So,
yeah, I went 3. They got some veterans up here. I like Quinn Meinertz as well. At the 2021 3rd-round pick, he just signed an extension. I don't like McGlinchey at right tackle. And I'm not huge on Wattenberg either. So I went 3 on the O-line. Front 7, they got some veterans here. Zach Allen, DJ Jones, John Franklin Myers comes over from the Jets. Baron Browning, Cody Barton, Alex Singleton, Jonathan Cooper. Stop me when you've heard of one of these guys. They got Nick Benito, the 2nd-round pick from 22 at linebacker as well. How do you rank the front 7 in Denver?
I just went with a 2.5 there. Again, not guys that excite me.
Yeah, I went 3. I really do like John Franklin Myers, and I think Zach Allen is still very serviceable there as well. Their linebacking group isn't super exciting. So maybe I went a little high, but I went 3 for that one. For the DBs, Patrick Surtain, PJ Locke, Brandon Jones, Riley Moss, Jaquan McMillan. 5th-round draft pick is at cornerback as well, Chris Abrams-Drain. How do you feel about these guys in the defensive backfield for Denver?
Again, I went with 2.5 on that also.
Yeah, me too. Patrick Surtain, I really do like him. Pat Surtain the 2nd. I like him a lot, actually, but don't really like anybody else back there. Levi Wallace comes over from Pittsburgh, but still, yeah, I'm a 2.5 there as well. All right, let's transition to the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's start with the ceiling for the Chiefs. How do you feel that their ceiling is?
Well, I think you got to give them a Super Bowl ceiling. Don't know if they'll be the Super Bowl again, but I went with that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Super Bowl is their ceiling again this year. Actually, I think they have a better roster this year than they had last year. So, is what it is. Let's see. Your win total is 11.5 for Kansas City. How do you feel, over or under 11.5?
I will go over, but 12. I don't know. I don't know for sure what kind of season they'll have during the regular season. We'll see, but I'll go over 11.5.
Yeah, I will too. I think the division really isn't that good, and there's some tough teams in the AFC, obviously, but I think some teams got worse this year. I think Kansas City, I think they're sitting in a good spot to go over 11.5 again this year. Head coach Andy Reid, OC is Matt Nagy, DC Steve Spagnuolo, and special teams Dave Taub. We are Andy Reid fans, Dad, and I gave him a 5. He's the only 5 that I handed out to a coach this year. How do you feel about Andy Reid as the coach?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he has to be a 5 with what he's proven, his history, and what he's done lately. So,
I put him top 3 all time as a head football coach in the NFL.
I don't know. I'd have to give that a little bit of thought as far as all time is concerned. He may end up being that way, no doubt about it, once his career is over. So we'll see.
Yeah, I didn't give you a heads up on that question, but I mean, I'm thinking, you got Belichick in New England, clearly, like him or not, one of the greatest coaches of all times. Vince Lombardi is obviously up there for us. I don't know. I mean, can you maybe Landry up that high? But I feel like Andy Reid's right there at the top.
Yeah, well, Don Shula would have to be there. There'd be several. So
yeah. How many Super Bowls Don Shula win?
Let's see. I'm trying to think if he won 2 or more, but at least 2, I think, didn't he?
Yeah. How many did Andy Reid win? I mean, I'm just saying. Don Shula's a great coach, but I think I got Andy Reid above him. Anyways, all right. Quarterback is Patrick Mahomes, my homie. Carson Wentz, by the way, back up in Kansas City this year. How do you feel about Patrick Mahomes? I give him a 5 as well.
Yeah, I gave him a 5. I think he's still at the top of the game.
Yeah, I agree. Running back Isaiah Pacheco, Deneric Prince, Clyde Edwards-Helaire are all there as well. I'm interested to hear how you rank the running back room in Kansas City.
I like Pacheco. He's really, developed. I always wonder if Helaire is going to ever bounce back, but I gave them a 4.
I did too, and I hesitated to do it. But it's just been consistency for Pacheco. It's been impressive. So I gave him a 4 also. Pass catchers, this is an area they really struggled in last year. They went out and addressed it this year. So they still have Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy comes over in the first round this year. Sky Moore, second-round pick last year. McCole Hardman, still there. He's more of a special teamer, I guess. And then Travis Kelce and Noah Gray there at tight end as well. How do you rank the pass catchers in Kansas City?
I gave him a 3.5. Probably could be higher than that, but we'll see. I really like Worthy. I think he could really make a difference for him there, but I went 3.5.
Interesting. Yeah, I went 4. I like Hollywood Brown if he's healthy. Rashee Rice if he doesn't get arrested, and and of course Travis Kelce and Xavier Worthy there too. So yeah, I went a little higher than that for him. O-line, they bring over Kingsley Sumatua in the second round this year. Joe Thuney's still there. Creed Humphrey at center. Trey Smith, the Tennessee boy, at guard. And Jawan Taylor, another Tennessee boy. I think he's a Tennessee boy, at right tackle. Let's see here. They also had some late round draft picks at offensive line as well. I gave this group a 4. Also, Dad, I like this O-line in Kansas City.
Yeah, I do too, and I gave them a 4 also. I think that's just right there.
Awesome. Let's move to the front 7. They've spent some draft picks here in recent years. 2022 first-round pick, George Karlaftis. 2016 second-round pick, Chris Jones has been great. Mike Dana is there. Derek Nottie. Drew Tranquil. Nick Bolton, the second-round pick in 21 as well. Leo Chenal. Trying to see Mike Pennell is there on the D-line as a backup as well. How do you feel about the front 7 in Kansas City?
They're good, but I went with a 3.5 on it. Again, Jones is really good, but
yeah, I gave him a 4, but I might honestly agree with you a little bit more down there at 3.5 as well. Defensive backs, they've got Trent McDuffie, Justin Reed, Brian Cook, Najee Johnson, Shamari Connor. Deion Bush comes over. Jaden Hicks comes over in the 4th round this year. How do you feel about the DBs in Kansas City?
I went 3.5 with them also.
Okay, so I went 3 with them. I went a little lower with them, higher on the front 7. It's just that's definitely not their strength. If anything, it's probably their weakness there. All right, let's go with the next up, which is the Las Vegas Raiders. An interesting team, Dad. How do you feel about the ceiling for the Raiders?
Let's see. I went with 8 wins. I don't know if they'll do that well, but that's where I went for the ceiling.
All right, so I went first number 1 overall draft pick for the Raiders. I think they're going to be really bad this year. They don't have a quarterback. That's going to come back to bite them. So I went very low for them. Their win total is 6.5. I will go under 6.5. Where do you sit on the 6.5 number?
6 may be where they're at, so
That'd be under.
I'll go under on that.
Okay. Head football coach is Antonio Brown. He brings over Luke Getsy. Patrick Graham's the DC. Tom McMahon, the special teams coordinator. Pierce came in as the interim last year, looked decent, gets the head coaching job. How do you rank him going into the year?
Again, I kind of went with new coaches with a 3, so I'll stay with that.
Yeah, I gave him a 3 too. I've been going 2.5 for new coaches. I saw enough last year to believe at least he's a good coach. I just don't think he has any talent on his team. And I think Luke Getsy is a horrible hire at offensive coordinator. I don't get that one at all. Let's go quarterback. Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, Nathan Peterman's still around. I listen, I like Gardner Minshew as a backup, but my goodness, I gave the quarterbacks 2.5 here for the Raiders. I think that's going to be one of their major downfalls.
Yeah, I agree. 2.5's where I was on that also.
All right, running back room, Zamir White, the 4th rounder out of 2022. Alexander Madison comes over from Minnesota. Amir Abdullah comes over from Carolina. And they got a 6th round draft pick as well. Again, I went low here. I went 2.5 for the running backs in Vegas.
Yeah, 2.5's where I was on that too.
All right, pass catchers, Devontae Adams, Hall of Famer, one of the best in the league. Who's with them? Well, Jacoby Meyer, Trey Tucker, Kirsten Wilkerson, Jalen Guyton, DJ Turner. In other words, nobody. Tight ends, though, they got Brock Bowers, the rookie 1st round pick, and Michael Mayer, the 2nd round pick from last year as well. I love their tight ends, and I love Devontae Adams, Dad. I gave him 3.5 out of respect to those guys, but I just don't think they have anything other than those 3 guys.
Yeah, I gave him a 4 again, just because of the tight ends and Devontae Adams, but we'll see.
All right. O-line, they got some injuries here early on, but Colton Miller, Jackson Powers Johnson, Andre James, Dylan Parham, and Thayer Munford Jr. Slated in as the starters. DJ Turner's are back there as well. I went 3 for the O-line. How do you rank it?
3 was right where I was at also.
Okay. Front 7 is led by Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins, who comes over from Miami. Then they got John Jenkins, Malcolm Kuntz, Divine Diablo, Robert Spillane. Let's see here. Man, even these backups, not much to write home about. I went 3.5. I love Max Crosby, and Christian Wilkins is a great pickup for them. I just don't think they got much else.
I went with the 4 because, again, Crosby's just a real game wrecker sometimes. So,
yeah.
But 3.5 might have been a better pick there.
All right. DBs, they got Jack Jones, comes over from New England. Marcus Epps comes over from Philadelphia. Trevon Moehrig, Jacorian Bennett, Nate Hobbs. They got a 7th rounder and a 4th rounder also at cornerback this year. Man, I went 2.5 for these guys. I'm just not big on these guys.
Yeah, I went 3, but 2.5 may be a good pick. So,
okay, so yeah, I've got Broncos and Raiders vying for the first draft pick here in the AFC West. Let's go to the Chargers now. Lots of changes for the Chargers this year, Dad. What is the ceiling for the newly revamped Los Angeles Chargers?
I gave them an 8-win ceiling, and that may be a little high.
Whoa.
So
That's not high at all, Dad. I went make the playoffs. I think the Chargers are going to be good this year, and good enough to make the playoffs, especially. Win total is 8.5. I'm going over that. You said their ceiling's 8 wins, so you're going under 8.5.
8.5. I'll go over. Given they may get to 9 or whatever. So we'll see.
All right. New head coach is Jim Harbaugh. Of course, he succeeded in college, and he succeeded in the pros when he was there as well. Greg Roman, the OC, Jesse Minter, DC, Ryan Ficken, the special teams coordinator. What kind of ranking do you give Jim Harbaugh here?
Well, I could let prejudice enter into this because I'm not a Harbaugh fan at all, but I just went with the same with new coaches and gave him a 3. We'll see how well he can do. There'll be a lot of talk and a lot of hype, but we'll see how the football team performs.
He went to a Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick as his quarterback. He won college football games with J.J. McCarthy as his quarterback. I I think that's disrespectful, Dad. I give him a 4. I think he's won everywhere he's gone. So I give him a 4. I think
he won a Super Bowl and then got fired, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Was that because he was a bad coach?
Well, it's probably not because he was a great coach. So we'll see.
I don't know. I think that became just pride issues. But anyways, quarterback is the return of Justin Herbert, of course. Easton Stick, the backup. Max Dugan is back there as well, 7th round pick from last year. How do you rank quarterback at Justin Herbert?
He's a good one. I gave him 3.5.
Okay, I went 4. I just think coaching has been bad for him. I think that's been his problem. So I think we're going to see a good year out of Justin Herbert this year. Now, they don't have any depth. If he gets hurt, they're in big trouble. Running backs, big change here. A couple Baltimore kids come over, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, both there now. It's not the same old as Austin Eckler, but how do you feel about Edwards and Dobbins there in the running back room?
I went with 3 on them. So
I did too, and the only reason why I didn't go higher is injuries. I think if they stay healthy, they could be really, really good. Let's see here, especially Dobbins, by the way. I think this could be a breakout year for Dobbins, but he's going to have to stay healthy. Pass catchers, DJ Shark comes over from Carolina. Joshua Palmer, watch out for a big year from Joshua Palmer. Ladd McConkey's the 2nd-round draft pick. Quentin Johnson, last year's 1st-round draft pick. Tight ends, Will Dissly comes over from Seattle. Hayden Hurst from Carolina and formerly Baltimore. How do you rank the pass catchers for the Chargers?
Well, I like Palmer, but I gave him a 2.5, so we'll see.
All right, I went 3. I think Palmer, he's going to have a huge year. I think Palmer's going to be the number 1 guy there for the Chargers. I think you're going to see him do some, like, fantasy-wise. I think he's the receiver to get here in Los Angeles. Offensive line, they spent money here over the years in draft capital. Rashawn Slater, 2021 1st-round pick. Zion Johnson, 2022 1st-round pick. Joe Alt, this year's 1st-round pick. Then at center, they got Bradley Bozeman and guard Trey Pipkins III. How do you rank the O-line in Los Angeles?
I gave them a 3. Again,
holy smokes.
They put some good players on there, so we'll see.
Wow. I went 4.5. This is a stacked offensive line. As long as Joe Alt is what he's expected to be, this is a really good offensive line. Front 7, Morgan Fox, Puna Ford, Otito Ogbonia, Joey Bosa when he's healthy. Junior Colson comes over from Michigan. Denzel Perryman, Khalil Mack is there as well. They spent a 4th rounder on a D tackle also. How do you rank the front 7 for the Chargers?
Well, again, if Bosa's healthy and depending on where Mack is in his career, but I gave him 3. They could be better than that.
Yeah, I went 4. As if Bosa and Mack can rush. And then they brought in Bud Dupree, who's older, of course, also. I like the draft of Junior Colson. So I like this front 7 also. DBs, let's see here. They've got Asante Samuel Jr., Derwin James, Alohi Gilman, Christian Fulton, Jasir Taylor. They drafted 2 guys in the 5th round to play cornerback as well. Tony Jefferson's there too at safety. How do you feel about the secondary for the Chargers?
I gave them 2.5. So,
whew. All right, I went 3. I'm not too far off from you. I do like Samuel and Derwin James, especially if James can stay healthy. But outside of those 2 guys, it's not pretty. It's not pretty back there at all. So, man, I can't believe you're that low on the Chargers this year, Dad. I did not see that one coming at all. Let's go to the NFC West, and let's start in Arizona. Again, a place of change to some degree this year. What is the ceiling for the Cardinals out west?
I give them a possibility of 8 wins.
Okay, so I knew I was going to be higher on this than you. I say make the playoffs. I think that when you have a quarterback, you have a chance. And Kyler Murray, I think, is a good quarterback. So I say make the playoffs for the Cardinals. Their win total's at 7.5. You go over or under 7.5?
No, I'll go over 7.5 on that. So
yeah, obviously I will as well. All right, head football coach is Jonathan Gannon. He's got Drew Petzig as the OC, Nick Reyes as the DC, Jeff Rogers at special teams. How do you rank Coach Jonathan Gannon in Arizona?
Yeah, again, I went with the 3 on that one, and we'll see.
Yeah, it's a prove-it year for me for him. I got him at 2.5. And obviously I think he's going to be better than that, but he hasn't proven that he is yet. So that's where I've got him at. Kyler Murray at quarterback. Desmond Ridder comes over as the backup. How do you rank the quarterback?
Kyler Murray can stay healthy. He can make a lot happen. I give him a 3.
Okay, I went 3.5. So we're not far off. I just think he's better, better than that. Running backs, James Conner, Trey Benson comes over in the 3rd round this year. Emery DeMarcado might see a little bit as well. DJ Dallas, Michael Carter's had a decent start to his preseason this year too. I went what did I do? I went 3 for the running backs. What about you?
Yeah, I went 3.5. Again, I like Connor, and if Benson can be good, then we'll see.
All right, pass catchers. Of course, the big one is the number 1 draft pick for Arizona, Marvin Harrison Jr. They've also got Michael Willis, Greg Dortch, Chris Moore, Zach Pascal, Zay Jones. Tight end Trey McBride is rising, and then they also got Elijah Higgins behind him. I went 3. No, what did I do? Yeah, I went 3 for the pass catchers. I love Harrison and I love McBride, but I really don't like anything else there in Arizona.
Yeah, I went 3.5 because, again, with Harrison and having a tight end, there's a good chance one of the others will develop, so we'll see.
All right, O-line in Arizona, Paris Johnson Jr., last year's first-round pick. Then they got veterans. Evan Brown at guard comes over from Seattle. Ajati Frehold comes over from Cleveland. Will Hernandez comes over from the Giants, and Jonah Williams from Cincinnati. Retooled offensive line, lots of veterans, but again, it's kind of guys that I don't know. I gave him 3.5. What did you give him?
I gave him 2.5. Again, they'll have to develop and work together. We'll see.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Front 7 on the defense: Bilal Nichols, Roy Lopez, Justin Jones, Dennis Gardick, Kaiser White, Mac Wilson. Zaven Collins just signed the big deal. They spent a first-round pick on Darius Robinson this year as well. I went a little low I went high on the front 7. Sorry. I went with a 4, but I think that's probably too high.
Yeah, I was a lot lower than that, again, just based on other rankings and that, and I was down at a 2, so they're probably a little better than that. We'll see.
All right, let's split the difference. We'll call it a 3. All right, DBs, Sean Murphy Bunting comes over from Tennessee. Buda Baker, Jalen Thompson are the safeties. Max Melton comes over in the 2nd round at cornerback. Garrett Williams also there at quarterback. They spent another 3rd and 4th round picks on DBs as well in this year's draft. I went 3 for the DBs in Arizona.
Yeah, I had them at a 2 also. So hopefully the defense will play better, but we'll see.
All right. San Francisco 49ers. What's the ceiling for them this year?
I would say it's the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be. Agreed. 11.5 is the win total. You go over or under?
I'll go over 11.5.
I think you have to. Again, this division isn't super strong. So, yeah, I think you got to do that too. Kyle Shanahan is the head coach. Chris Forrester, OC, Nick Sorensen, DC, Brian Schneider, special teams. There's a lot of controversy around Kyle Shanahan. Can he win the big one? All that good stuff. What do you rank Kyle Shanahan as a coach on a scale of 1 to 5?
I gave him a 4.5, but he's going to need to go all the way here one of these days.
No, I'm with you. I did 4.5 too. I think he's a great coach, and it's hard to win a Super Bowl, and I think we'll see him maybe get there soon enough. Quarterback is Brock Purdy. Backup Joshua Dobbs. Man, I want to respect Brock Purdy. I have a hard time doing that. I give him a 3.5 though. What do you give him?
Yeah, I'm not a big Brock Purdy guy, but you look at what he's done and how the team's done, so I gave him a 4.
Okay. All right. Very good. Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell are the main running backs there. I mean, I think he's the best in the game. I gave him a 5. What about you?
Yes, I went with a 5 on him also.
All right. Pass catchers, Brandon Ayuk, still in San Francisco. Deebo Samuels, Jawan Jennings. They drafted Ricky Pearsall in the 1st round. They also brought in a 4th-round receiver also. Tight end, George Kittle, Eric Saubert's there as well. I went 5 with this receiving group, Dad, as well. There's a lot of talent here.
I went with 4.5, but yeah, they're very, very good.
All right, O-line, Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Dominic Pooney comes over in the 3rd round this year, projected to start at guard. Colton McKivitz at right tackle. I don't know. I went 3.5 for the O-line. Man, that might even be a little high.
I went with 3, so.
Yeah. Fair enough, I think. All right, front 7. This defense is loaded, I think, especially in the front 7. Nick Bosa, Malik Collins, Javon Hargrave up front, Leonard Floyd, Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner on the back end of that grouping as well. They've got some other guys that are, of course, backups there also. How do you feel about the front 7 in San Francisco?
Yeah, I went with a 5 because, again, their defense is just very strong.
Okay, I went 4.5, but I agree. Very, very good. DBs, I think this is their weakness on defense. Let's see here. Travarius Ward, Talanoa Hufunga, Jair Brown, Isaac Yidom, and DeCommodore Lenoir. They drafted Renardo Green in the 2nd round as well this year. I gave him a 3 at the defensive backs.
I went with 4 again because the defense is strong, but you might be right.
Okay. Well, I am right, Dad, but thank you for clarifying. All right, let's make Kevin Wilson mad. Seattle Seahawks. What is the ceiling for the Seattle Seahawks this year?
I'll make Kevin happy and say they could win 8 games.
I don't think he's going to be happy about that, Dad. I also said eight wins for Seattle. Their win total is set at 7.5. I'll go ahead and go under 7.5 for Seattle. What about you?
I'll go over 7.5. So,
wow. Okay. All right. All right. Head coach Mike McDonald comes over from Baltimore. He brings Ryan Grubb, the OC, Aiden Durd, the DC, Jay Harbaugh, special teams coordinator. He's a new coach. I've never seen him be the head coach. I give him a 2.5. I assume you gave him a 3.
Again, yeah, I'll give him a 3. And coming from Baltimore, that could be a good thing. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. Rex Ryan, he made it to the AFC Championship games a few times, I guess. All right. Quarterback Geno Smith, Sam Howell comes over from Washington. PJ Walker also on the team as it currently sits. I just don't like the quarterback room in Seattle, Dad. I know Geno's had some good seasons, but I'm going to go 2 at quarterback for Seattle.
I went with 3. Again, Smith has been kind of productive, so we'll see.
All right, running backs are Kenny Walker, Zach Charbonnet there as well. I like the room. I don't think they're superstars at the same time. I went 3.5.
Yeah, I went 3.5 on them too.
All right, pass catchers, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. These 2 guys have been solid now for years. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's my fantasy breakout receiver of the year. I think big things for him this year because I think they're going to be playing from behind, throwing the ball a lot. I think you're going to see him have a good year. And then tight end Noah Fant as well is there. Laviska Shenault, maybe he has a reawakening or an awakening. I'm not sure. Anyways, I went 4.5 because I think those 3 are so solid at wide receiver.
Yeah, I went 4.5. That's definitely their strength, and that's a good group.
All right, O-line, Charles Cross, Laken Tomlinson, Connor Williams, Anthony Bradford, and Abraham Lucas. They spent a 3rd-round pick on guard Christian Haynes this year. Also, I went 3.5 with the O-line. What about you?
I only went 2.5 with them. So,
all right. Let's see here. Front 7 on defense. Jaron Reed, Jonathan Hankins, Leonard Williams comes over from the Giants. Draymond Jones, Jerome Baker, Tyrell Dodson, and Uchenna Nwosu. They drafted in the 1st round Byron Murphy at the line. He should be good. And a 4th-round pick on linebacker Trice Knight as well. Boye Mafe is there, the 2022 2nd-round pick also. I went 3 with this front 7, Dad.
Yes, 3's where I'm at there on that also.
Okay. DBs, Trey Brown, Rashawn Jenkins, Julian Love, Reek Woolen, and Devon Witherspoon, last year's 1st-round draft pick. I went 3 for the DBs in Seattle.
I went with 4. I think they'll be better on that, so we'll see.
Yeah, I figured with that Illinois boy back there, you would rank him pretty high. All right, let's final team, Los Angeles Rams. Dad, what is the ceiling for the Los Angeles Rams?
I think it's a deep playoff.
Okay, I just said make the playoffs. I don't see a deep run, but we will see, I suppose. Win total is 8.5. I'll go over 8.5.
Yeah, I go over 8.5, definitely.
Okay. Head coach Sean McVay has been around a while, done some good things, but he's also had some down years. How do you rank him?
I give him 4.5. I think he's a really good young coach. So,
all right. So just to reiterate, you gave Jim Harbaugh a 3 and Sean McVay a 4.5.
Yeah, I was probably a little high on Harbaugh, but we'll do okay with that. So, yeah. McVay's won a Super Bowl. McVay's proven he knows how to coach, and in the NFL, and I think we'll be okay. So,
oh my goodness! All right, I went 3.5 for McVay. Quarterback Matt Stafford. We have been very respectful of Matt Stafford, and Stetson Bennett. I said this when he came out in the draft. I think Stetson Bennett could play quarterback in the NFL. But anyways, Matthew Stafford, Dad, I've got him as a 4.
I've got him at 3.5. So
yeah, he's old and banged up for sure.
Yeah, that's the only issue. He's good. So
yeah. Running back room, Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, the rookie, back there. I went 4 for the running backs in the Rams.
Yes, I went with 4 on them also.
All right. I think Blake Corum, by the way, is going to have a really good rookie season as well, even though Kyron Williams has been really good too. Pass catchers, Demarcus Robinson, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp still around. Tutu Atwell, of course, is there also. They spent a 6th-round pick on Jordan Whittingham. Tight end Tyler Higbee, currently injured. Colby Parkinson behind him. I went 3.5 for the pass catchers. You there, Dan?
Okay, you're cutting out on me there a little bit, but if you can still hear me, I have give them a 4.5.
Okay, so yeah, you went a little higher on them than I did. Offensive line, Larrick Jackson, Jonah Jackson, Steve Avila, Kevin Dotson, Rob Havenstein. I gave the O-line a 3. What did you rank the O-line? O-line. I think
the O-line I went with 3.5. So
okay, there we go. We got there. Now let's do the last one, Dad. Hopefully we can get there. Defensive backs, or excuse me, front 7, I guess. Braden Fisk, Bobby Brown, Kobe Turner, Jared Verse, who I love in the 1st round, Christian Rosenboom, Ernest Jones, and Byron Young there as well. So I went with the front 7 of a 3.5. 3.5 for the front 7. What about you?
The D-line I had 2.5, and the D-backs I had 2.5. So
okay. DBs, I went 3 on Darius Williams, Cameron Curl, John Johnson, Tre'Davious White, and Quentin Lake. So very good. We got to use our sign language tonight. We love that for sure. Okay. Let's say goodbye to Dad. Dad, thanks for being here. I know we're having some audio issues over there. So we're gonna kick him off. But thanks for being with us, Dad. We always appreciate you, of course, as well. We are going to break in now to a segment we haven't done actually for several weeks. That's a segment we call the Sports Stove Final Lap. All right, let's get into some guests because I don't know if you knew or not, but NASCAR had an interesting weekend. So we're gonna bring in some guys to talk about that. Let me find the right screen for this. All right, Belly Up Sports has several talented young men. These two not included, but just kidding, of course. Belly Up Racing, Chris Prince comes in, and Kaleb McChesney as well. Hey guys, how you doing?
Not including these guys. What the hell?
Yeah, come on, man. What's up with that?
Well, I had to come into this one the same way Austin Dillon went out in Richmond.
Yeah.
So let's just get into it because the race ended in Richmond this week. Well, let me start with this. No one was talking about Richmond coming into the week. Like, there was so little conversation about the race heading into the week. And I put out the tweet as soon as it was over. No one talked about it coming in, but everyone's going to be talking about it now. Let's go reaction, instant reaction. And then when you had some time to sit down and think about it, for how the race ended with Austin Dillon ramming the back of Joey Logano and then spinning out Denny Hamlin to get the victory.
Yeah, I actually, coincidentally enough, Caleb knows this, but I was sitting in a labor and delivery room with my wife. We brought in our fourth child, our first little girl, around 2:30 Monday morning. But
Congrats.
I actually got told I needed to be quiet and watch my volume because I was kind of shocked when I saw it. I was like, "Holy crap!" And then I realized it, and I was like, "What a stupid move!"
Stupid move by you to be hooting and hollering in the labor and delivery room, or stupid move that Dillon
to both, right?
Both. Yeah, both definitely. But I was wow. I think I'll let Caleb share his opinion on it too, because we talked a little bit about it for a little bit. But holy cow!
Yeah, well, the big story really is what do you guys think of the option tires that they use? Any profound thoughts or no? So yeah, I was told to keep it clean when I came on here. I use some colorful language, but first things first, Chris, congrats on the new kid. Very glad that she held on for another couple hours just to get out of that Austin Dillon win anniversary. Yeah. But yeah, listen, everything Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin had to say pretty much outlines everything that I thought, which tell me I was going to say that a year ago, I might call you crazy, but it's true. I mean, this is what the NASCAR system kind of incentivizes, at least incentivized. Obviously now the win doesn't count. Well, it counts, but it's not for his playoff eligibility at all. But in his head, this was his season on line. This was his chance to get a win, get locked in the playoffs, and all of a sudden RCR doesn't look as bad as they have, leading all of 3 laps with that 3 car. So yeah, as much as it's on NASCAR, it's also on Austin Dillon himself, because he didn't have to totally junk 2 cars to get a clean victory. And I get the caution came out right in front of him with 2 laps to go. I mean, what else do you want him to do? Win clean. Like, just be good on a restart. You have lost the most positions in NASCAR on restarts at like minus 86, minus 87. Like, this is the kind of bad team, bad car, bad operation that we're dealing with here. And his only chance to win off of that restart was to junk the 22 and then right rear hook the 11. He should be suspended for that. Like, I don't think that taking away the playoff eligibility was enough. Like, I think he needs to be suspended for a race, just like Chase Elliott was last year, just like Bubba Wallace was 2 years ago. I don't know, but this just kind of sums up Austin Dillon's career as a whole. And all 5 of his wins, like, all of them came under, oh, well, he junked the 10 car at Daytona. Oh, well, he got a nice little gas mileage race at, what was it, Texas?
Yeah, Texas. Charlotte, his Coke 600 was a gas mileage race for him too. So
yeah, and all the cars got trapped a lap down in another. Like, this is Austin Dillon's career for. This is the kind of stuff that 3 car needs to win, and it's really just shameful.
So when I first saw it, I was with everybody on the two wrecks. Can't believe he did that. When I watch it back, to me, what he did to Logano was egregious. I felt like Hamlin almost asked for it and where he was
by being in 3rd place.
Well, no, but when he came up, Hamlin did come up on. There wasn't like this massive turn left to hook Hamlin. Now, I'm not saying he didn't turn left at all. I'm not saying that he's innocent or anything like that either. Right. What I'm saying is, I feel like Logano, that was so egregious. And then when you couple it with the Hamlin wreck, you're going, oh my soul, like he's what is he doing? But I feel like if he didn't do the thing to Logano, I don't know that there would have been as much talk about what happened with Hamlin. It wouldn't have happened, of course. I don't know. I felt like the Logano, what he did to Logano was worse than what he did to Hamlin.
Well, I mean, I think the whole move was bad. I think, like Kaleb said, that's what he thought he had to do in the moment. And Jeff Gluck and his co-host on the Teardown talked about it. If you guys listen to it, they said like this is Austin Dillon looking at it kind of like the soon-to-be owner eventually of RCR in his eyes. Like, these are people like that depend on me for their living. So like if you look at it like that, I can be like, okay, maybe. But at the very end of it, like I think you have to go back with Kaleb, win clean. If you can't win, then you shot it into turn 3 and 4, 5 car lengths back, like Logano said. I mean,
and then right rear hooked Denny Hamlin.
Right. He wasn't going to make that turn. I mean, I think he knew that, but he knew what he was trying to do was probably going to end up in the way it happened.
Doesn't help that his spotter literally yelled, "Wreck him!"
Yeah. So if the spotter doesn't yell "wreck him," are we having the same conversation as far as the penalty goes? Yeah, I am too. I am too. But as far as the penalty goes, is it the same if the spotter doesn't yell "wreck him"?
I think so.
I think it has to be. Yeah, just for a sense of consistency, even though they didn't suspend him for the right rear hook on Hamlin, which I can see maybe why, because Hamlin was coming up the track, even though SMT shows the hook in Austin's steering.
Yeah, he turned it with like twice as much downforce as you need to make that turn. And Denny Hamlin, his car, it's just physics. He's coming up because he has to come up to make that turn. It's on Austin Dillon to lift. So he doesn't put himself in the wall. And instead, he chose to just turn the 11 and say, screw it, let's just see what happens.
Now, you could go back, and there was a situation, again, with the Teardown, they talked about Logano and William Byron at Darlington.
Not even close.
Not even close, though. Yeah. But the thing is, if it's just Logano, are we still talking about it like this?
No.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Yeah, I think if it's Logano moved out of the way and not right rear hooking Hamlin, I don't think you talk about it the same way. I think it's just, Dillon ran in there, did what he had to do to win, and that was that.
I would still agree with Joey Logano and his verbiage of what he called the move, because I think just doing stuff like that on purpose because you're not good at restarts is egregious.
Yeah,
but that can be kind of swung as a racing move. Yeah. There's nothing that you could say about that second contact with Denny Hamlin that could be construed as a racing move.
I thought it was interesting where very quickly the thoughts started coming out about, that's exactly what Dale Earnhardt would have done.
Nah.
And when Junior was asked about
They're citing one clip. They're citing one clip from like the 1970s, and it's literally something that he got fined $50,000 for back in the 70s.
Yeah, when Junior got asked about it, he's like, "Listen, Dad was rough, but he didn't do that. It's not what he did." I thought that was, of course, if it wasn't the 3 car, maybe it wouldn't have even come up. I don't know. It was intriguing. The first thought that I had watching it was, wait a minute. Is he going to be in the playoffs? That's the first thing I thought was, if he makes it in the playoffs, then it's good for him, obviously. But for the guy that gets knocked out now, where that line gets cut shorter, my thought was, my goodness, you're talking about people going to be mad. And, I heard it said, Denny Hamlin's just going to tell Bubba Wallace, just wreck everybody and get into the playoffs. But that was my first thought, was how it was going to affect the playoff picture.
Yeah, that's a big one, because you have guys like Ross Chastain and Chris Buescher who have been literally battling, and they've made their share of mistakes, and some could argue maybe they don't deserve to be in the playoffs, but they deserve to be there way more, in my opinion, than somebody who pulls a move like that in an attempt.
And not only that, being 32nd in point standings.
You have to be top 30 win and you're in, and then we can talk about it. That was always the condition for the waivers too. You have to get in the top 30. You have to win a race. Why does he not have to get into the top 30?
I think top 25 even, honestly. I don't know that 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 are any more deserving than Austin is at the end of the day. So
can we go back to the old format of, I feel like that's just a simple kind of solution there. Not the one race championship. Best cars get in, no matter if they win all the time or if they come on late or however it may be. Like, it can be more straight up than this. I don't know why we're making it so convoluted and complicated. So we can have some junk like the 99 car who can't even win, who could barely win a stage nowadays, or Austin Cindric, who hasn't even been anywhere to be seen since Gateway.
Yeah.
Or the number 3 car, which thank God NASCAR came to their senses and pulled this playoff eligibility, because with a new winner probably coming at Daytona, I want nothing to do with a round of 16 where we can just call which cars are getting knocked off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't take the playoff eligibility. I think you're right. That puts a lot of questions, or not questions. It's basic. You can point at Dylan and Suarez and feel like, confidently those are the guys.
You got 3 out of 4 at that point.
Yeah,
exactly. Are gonna get tossed.
Yeah.
I have 100% confidence that Suarez and Cindric are 100% not making it through the round of 16 with the RCR cars. Austin Dillon wouldn't have even sniffed it.
Nope.
And say Harrison Burton, which would be hilarious if he got the 100th win at Daytona just to not come back next year.
Yeah.
And he goes and wins at Daytona, and we have a round of 16 that just doesn't mean anything at all.
Does this whole situation go ahead and push Austin into ownership and out of the car, or
No.
is he back?
If he wants to be in that car, I think he drives it as long as he wants to be in it. And they have Johnny Morris signing those checks from Bass Pro to put on there, and they got another sponsor. I think Austin drives that car until he's ready to move himself into ownership, or until there's just so good of a prospect that they have the chance of getting. They have to just both come to the conclusion of, let's step out of here and move to the future.
Yeah. I was just curious, because you look at it as if all the drivers are unanimously saying that was a horrible decision, a bad move, shouldn't have done it. I understand why he did it, but it was wrong, shouldn't have done it. Sometimes that can get a guy, especially when you're this close to the end of the year, there's not a whole lot of time to make that decision necessarily. I sit there and go, maybe this is enough to have him say, you know what, it's just not worth it. Let me just go run the organization. But pride says
if this was like Kyle Busch who did that and then got the penalty that he got, that might push him into retirement. But
at this point, yeah.
But no, Austin Dillon's still young enough. He's still got the pull. He still looks like he wants to race. And he was just on the Dale Jr. download talking about how excited he was for all the changes that are coming in this next season. So I think that he's pretty comfortable, even if this doesn't count. He's going to be pissed that he's not making the playoffs anymore. But at this point, I think RCR is just going to revel in this moment of, they had a viral moment that went to Sports Center, top of 10 plays or whatever. And they're going to be living off. They're going to be living off this till Kyle Busch suddenly gets a car that works.
Yeah, NASCAR had the 2 videos in the top 10 trending on Google search after Sunday night's race. So I mean, while they punished them pretty heavily, NASCAR benefited.
Yeah,
RCR benefited. I mean, it's kind of how it looks, right now.
Everything punishment wise, Spotter gets suspended 3 races. Logano gets fined for his actions on pit road.
That was bad.
Any other thoughts on those things?
I
think the Logano thing was bad.
Yeah, I didn't at first when I heard them talking about it. I was like, okay, but then once you see that in-car footage, you fully you can't even question that. I get you're heated and you're hot, but come on, you could have hurt somebody, and then what would you have done?
Yeah, you had that lady holding a baby and everything. Yeah, it's I agree. All right, let's talk playoffs. Right now, I feel pretty comfortable saying Truex is in. That's 78 points up, although he could lose it, of course. But you got Gibbs at 18 points up, Wallace at 3 points up, Buescher and Chastain tied, with Buescher having the tiebreaker. So if you say someone new wins at Daytona, then obviously that's going to push someone out. How do you feel about those 4? We can do all 5. Truex, Gibbs, Wallace, Buescher, Chastain. Who do you think ultimately is the top guys on that list?
I think commonly, I'm going to go with Truex and Gibbs are for sure there, but
Gibbs is slipping quick.
Yeah, Gibbs fell off quick. And TRD, you know, the engine shop at TRD is probably some people are wanting to know what the heck's going on because it's been a big thing with TRD. And that's, again, something that could cost you a championship if you don't get it fixed before it comes to that point. But I could very well see if they don't get that engine issue fixed, them two, you know, slipping out. And a new winner at Daytona can make that very plausible that Truex falls out.
So I need to cut somebody or cut two people out.
Yeah.
Cut two people out. I really like Buescher. I think that we're coming into like his spot in the season where he can turn it up. He won at Michigan last year. He won the Daytona race last year. He should have won Darlington or been P2 if it wasn't for Tyler Reddick being an absolute bonehead. But I like Buescher. And then you're kind of picking between Bubba and Ross. The coin flip. I like both of them at these tracks. But give me Bubba. I like Bubba at Michigan. Feels like his kind of track. Bubba, obviously, one of the top plate racers in the series. And then you just kind of hope that he can just squeak it in Darlington. And then, gosh, Ross or Ty would be the odd man out.
I just don't think Ross has had the speed this year that you expect.
It's come in waves, very short waves. Like he'll have a streak of 2 to 3 good races where he's back in the top 10, but a lot of weeks he's being outraced by Daniel Suarez. And if you told me that this was going to be the case in the preseason, I couldn't have believed you. Yeah, but if you told me Alex Bowman's win was going to come on a street course, I also wouldn't have believed you either.
Speaking of guys who don't deserve to be in the playoffs, no, just kidding.
Hey, that win was earned, damn it. Denny Hamlin said so.
Got him fired up. All right. So who's going to be the guy that wins and gets in that's not currently in the race?
I think you have to look. That's
Harrison Burton.
Yeah, you could look really at anybody like that.
Come on, we gotta pull for that just because of how funny it would be. Okay, the Wood brothers have been looking for this 100th win since Ryan Blaney was in the car. Because did Matt DiBenedetto win in the Wood brothers car? Yeah, so they've been waiting since Blaney was in there. It's been damn near 10 years at this point, and they're holding on so much hope. They already announced Harrison's not going to be in the car next year. It's going to be Josh Berry. Imagine the scenes when Harrison Burton gets them the 100th win just for him to get canned in 2025.
That would be a cool one, but I think if you want logical, and I think Kaleb might even agree with me on this, Todd Gilliland.
Yes.
You've got Daytona. I mean, that team
early speed at those super speedways.
Built to win at Daytona. I feel like they can, and Todd's a smart enough driver to where if he can stay out of the trouble, he could be there at the end.
You can also make the case for his teammate Michael McDowell, as much as we don't really believe in him to stay out of trouble after what happened at Talladega.
Yeah, if you get McDowell and Austin Dillon running against each other 1-2.
Oh, Jesus. Front row. Imagine them on the front row with 2 laps to go. They're going to cause the big one. It's going to be over.
My guy's not behind. I hope my guy actually is behind them, directly behind them. Not way behind. I don't want to get caught up in the clouds.
Just have Chase and Bowman wreck them and just go through.
I like those names. I think Briscoe is still a name to watch. And honestly, guys like Ricky Stenhouse, guys that have been around and raced, those are the guys that sneak in and get you, it seems like, more so than the young guys like Carson Hocevar. I think we'd all like,
I love
we'd
Carson
all be okay
Hocevar.
with Hocevar winning. It just seems like where we are in the season, it's those vets that you got to kind of watch out for.
Kyle
that
Busch.
figure something out. What about a guy like his season has been horrendous, but Corey LaJoy, who's got nothing to lose, lose at all. Just put it out there.
If he he could. Nothing's out of the realm of possibility at Daytona. But at the same time, I don't know. I just haven't seen it from Corey. You can go to the stats and again look at the rookie.
There is one track where I think Corey LaJoy actually performs, and it's Atlanta. For some reason. That's where he gets and he wrecked in like the first 5 laps at Atlanta this year, I believe.
Yeah. It's been a horrendous year.
No, if it's Corey LaJoy, that's just as bad as Austin Dillon winning. It is 2 jobbers.
People like him better though.
Yeah, I think a little bit, maybe very little. Very little. I think that's a small.
Well, here's the
margin of
thing.
fan.
Nobody really hates Corey LaJoy. We just all kind of know that he's not very good at his job.
Yeah.
And if he was to stay with that 7 team, Rodney Childers' talents would be wasted. Absolutely wasted.
I think that's fair. I mean, the man, he's not done nothing to deserve that ride, in my opinion. He's got 1 or 2 ARCA wins, no minor series wins.
No, he needs to go to Trucks or Xfinity and just win. Figure out how to win, fight your way back to the Cup Series, and we'll see you again in 2028 if you're any good. That 7 car is going to be really interesting this silly season, though. Yeah. I would love it, absolutely love it, if Kyle Busch somehow, some way got out of RCR and fit right into that 7 car. I think that would be just incredible stuff. But he has to get out of that RCR deal.
Spire could buy his contract out. They're one of those.
Do they got that kind of money? Do they got that buyout RCR money?
I think so. I do. I mean, honestly, Spire's a big sports they're in the sports marketing. They have their toes dipped in everything.
Hell, put AJ Allmendinger back in Cup. Put him in the 7 car.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Michigan coming up this week. Now eyes are back on NASCAR. That 2-week break was weird. And I understand why they did it for TV and stuff like that, but
never going to happen again with the Amazon deal.
Yeah, and it shouldn't, in my opinion.
Amen, brother.
But nonetheless, again, all eyes are on NASCAR this week. There's going to be a lot of people tuning in to see what goes on. Michigan, again, Chris Buescher won in 2023 in that race. Not necessarily, I guess you could talk fantasy-wise. At this point, if you're doing fantasy NASCAR, you're putting the best guys in that you possibly can. You're running down to the end. So my guys are loaded with superstars, but just thinking drivers wise for Michigan, who do you like? Who do you dislike?
Fords have won 9 of the last 10, I believe I heard on, I think it was the Dale Jr. download.
That's a Ford dominated.
So Blaney is obviously a big favorite, maybe even Chris Buescher, Brad Keselowski, just don't pick the Stewart Haas guys. These guys they don't seem to have it really this year.
Logano,
Joey, yes, for sure.
That just happened. The irony, Logano could go out and just shove it in people's faces.
I think in Michigan, it's a large track. It's pretty big. It's got the long straightaways. I don't want to say it's super speedway-ish because it's not, but it's very large. There's a lot of ways to get the draft. It's a lot of speed going on that track. So I think of guys who are maybe solid plate racers that could maybe find a way to win at one of these idiots like a Bubba Wallace. Maybe even William Byron. Hell, he's maybe the most due for a win NASCAR driver out there right now. Hasn't won since Coda, I believe, back in March.
Martinsville, actually.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the 1, 2, 3, 8 finish. Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
Would have been 1, 2, 3, 4 if Bowman didn't get punted by whoever it was. I think it was Bubba.
Yeah, it wasn't Bowman's fault.
No, it never is, if you ask me. So yeah, just rock with the Fords. I think Team Penske is going to be real players to watch. Buescher, obviously, Keselowski, and then look at the solid plate racers.
I like Keselowski. I like that. I mean, I'm not a Keselowski fan, but Keselowski's turned his that team around. I mean, if you tell me otherwise,
finally won.
Idiot. Yeah, I mean, he's turned that team around, and I could see them easily winning another race this year. I mean, his teammate did it last year, but I like Buescher, Keselowski, even Blaney. But I wouldn't, if the motors don't come into question for TRD, you could see someone like a Ty Gibbs. Watch him squeak in there and, steal one. Lock himself.
Yeah, that bold prediction I had at the beginning of the year is not aging well. I said that Ty Gibbs was going to hit victory lane multiple times this year.
Until recently, though, he's been there.
No, yeah.
I don't think it's a bad, even though the prediction hasn't come true, I don't think it was a bad one at the same time because I'm like at
3.5 out of 4 or 5 on my bold predictions. I think I said that Hendrick Motorsports, all 4 were going to make the playoffs. They won their way in. I said Martin Truex was going to miss the playoffs and retire. I don't think he's going to miss the playoffs, but he's retiring. So that's a half. And Stuart Haas isn't going to make the playoffs. And there's 3.5 for you right there.
If someone from Stuart Haas makes the playoffs, I think you have to look at a Gregson or a Barry, and I think it comes at like a Darlington or something.
No, for sure. Barry or Briscoe at Darlington feels.
Yeah, you can throw even Gregson in there maybe, but those are the only couple I feel like have a chance.
It feels like Childress.
So everybody but Ryan Preece. We can agree that Ryan Preece has no business being in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs.
Yeah. It feels like on that 4 car, like they are desperate to finish with something good. They had a lot of hopes coming into this season. It didn't go as planned. It hasn't been horrible, but the whole Stuart Haas thing hasn't been good. So, at the end of the day, that's the way it works. There we go. We got a comment in right there from Catherine calling the Truex retirement as well. So there you go. All right. Closing thoughts this week on the picture in NASCAR right now.
Chris, I'll let you go first.
It took too. I think you got to look at the officiating part of it first off. I think they took too long to make that call.
They should have done it in the moment for sure.
Yeah, even if you don't do it in the moment, at the very least, the next morning, I feel like, I get they wait till Tuesday normally to release penalty reports, but that's a bigger moment, and like I get you kind of want the exposure too, but I think that's and Elton Sawyer said something in his interview that was released a little bit ago about the penalty, that they are looking into something to expedite the review process, but I think they're going to use it regardless. NASCAR is going to market the absolute crap out of it, and you're going to see that incident posted all over every TV broadcast commercial that you can. And I think I don't know how, it depends on how you feel about it, but I think that's NASCAR, and you get used to it being a fan. In my opinion, you get used to them using incidents like that, because when Logano and Kenseth had an incident forever ago at Martinsville, they posted
Gave Jeff Gordon his last win.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm excited in a way to see what's going to happen, because things are heating up, and you could have another unexpected winner like you did, because had the incident between Stenhouse and Preece not happen, we're having a totally different conversation. Because Austin Dillon drove through the field and passed some solid cars and, earned his way into the playoffs at that point.
No, it would have been a clean win. I just would have been really disappointed.
Yeah, I mean,
as soon as he passed Denny, I'm like, God damn it, we're gonna have to deal with Austin Dillon in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think there's some things that can be improved on, but I think NASCAR is in a good spot heading towards the playoffs right now. They made a good call with the Dillon thing. I think you either had to suspend him for a race and not grant him a waiver, or take his playoff eligibility away at this point.
As far as my thoughts on NASCAR the rest of the way, I'm excited that it's back. Obviously, it was a long 2 weeks without it. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with my time? Like, watch the Red Sox, which they've admittedly turned it up a little bit. But yeah, really excited. I think that I don't feel super comfortable picking who's going to win a championship right now, and that feels great. A lot of people are sleeping on Christopher Bell again, which means he's going to go out and rip 3 wins in a row right in front of our eyes. He was the fastest car at Richmond, and a speeding penalty took him out. So something to keep an eye on
at Richmond.
Seriously, yeah. So Christopher Bell, probably in my lock for the championship 4. As far as the other 3, I got nothing for you. Kyle Larson in there somewhere, and then pick the other 2, Denny and Logano or something.
I'll throw a hot take out there too. If Chase Elliott doesn't win the regular season championship, I don't think he goes deep into the playoffs without a win.
Well, you think that he kind of needs that momentum?
I think he needs a win. I just think he's too far behind in playoff points to where one bad race is going to kill the momentum for that team.
How is he at Michigan?
In the heat of it. Yeah, it'll be tossed down the toilet if he doesn't get those extra playoff points for the regular season championship.
Do you feel good about him at Michigan, Darlington, or Daytona?
Darlington. Daytona's a throw your hat up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody can run into victory lane at the end of that one, but I like Darlington.
He's trying to speak it into existence.
Yep.
Listen, it would just be so funny. it would be the funniest thing I've seen in sports.
Yeah. We had a team. Was it in? I'm trying to remember what sport it was now. Maybe it was basketball tournament where their coach got fired. Was told at the end of the year he's not coming back. They ended up making the tournament and I think even winning a game in the tournament. I don't remember if it was basketball or baseball. I think it was baseball, college baseball tournament. Coach got told, "Hey, you're fired as soon as the season's done." And then all of a sudden they won their conference and then they won a game in the playoffs and everything. And it's fun. It's fun to see that kind of stuff.
Was he still out at the end of the year?
Yes. Still gone. So
Like,
yeah.
Can you imagine if Harrison Burton somehow, some way turns into like Jeff Gordon reincarnate and just wins a championship?
That would be amazing. Oh my! I bet he instantly is in the 7 car.
No, seriously,
he
right?
Locked himself in for the 7 car at that point. Non-NASCAR news, though. Kaleb will like to hear this. The Falcons just picked up Matt Judon for a third.
No, yeah. Foxborough beat had it first. Yeah.
I like it, sir.
We'll be talking about that on the Beatcast. We'll record it tonight and upload it tomorrow for all you Patriots fans who are watching, or just fans of me and my beautiful face and my obviously calm, soothing presence in all of this. Yes.
Yeah, Chris plays your voice for his new baby to go to sleep at night.
It is never sleeping.
Well, guys, we're going to come back after the final race of the regular season, and we'll do some playoff predictions and things like that. Then, Chris, congrats, man! I didn't know that, so congrats on the new one being born. That's exciting times for you guys. You said number 4 for you guys?
Yep, 4th in the final, but this is our first little girl. We got 3 little boys. So
yeah, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Kaleb, congrats to you as well for whatever.
Doing great, sir.
Yeah,
no,
good work.
Fantastic job. Yes, no, thank you, Vince, for having me.
Yeah. Hey, guys, I do appreciate it. It's been a while since we've talked on here, especially. So appreciate you guys very much. Guys, make sure you go check out bellyupsports.com. A couple different articles come out each week, and I'm sure there'll be more, especially as we get to the playoffs and stuff like that, too, that you can catch from Chris and Kaleb as well. So, guys, again, appreciate you very much, and we'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. See you guys. All right. There you go. Belly Up Sports. NASCAR team right there. Lots of stuff going on. I'm sure there'll be some more content coming out on the website, of course, as well. So check that out. Make sure you visit the sponsor, Righteous Felon Jerky, righteousfelon.com. Use the code STOVE15. You're going to get 15% off your purchase. Follow us on social media at Sports Stove. There we'll give you all the information about upcoming shows. There'll be no show on Monday, but should be back on Sunday night. I will not be there for the Sports Stove Fantasy Baseball show, but the show will still be live. Kevin Wilson will have you covered there. And then Wednesday night, I should be back right here with my dad as well. So thanks so much for tuning in to tonight's edition of the Sports Stove podcast. Until next time, we'll see you around the